What's good, everyone? Before we get into the video, I would like to apologize to absolutely nobody. Everything I say in this video, I mean. I'm holding nothing back, and I will take nothing back after releasing this video, regardless of the reaction. As you'll come to learn, I've had months now to determine what I was going to tell you all right here on camera, without any emotions, right? Without any anger, without any frustration. We're calm now. We're good. This is constructive criticism. This is feedback. Nothing is personal in this video. I want to make that very clear. And by sharing this experience, I do believe it can be a moment of growth, an educational opportunity for not only the company involved, but of course other companies watching that specialize in customer service. Was this a one-off event? Can the company be better? Can they do better? Am I wrong to feel the way I'm feeling? Am I out of my mind? You guys let me know. Want to let you guys formulate your own opinions. Hear from you down in the comment section below. Chime in. And with that, let's get into the video. What's good, fam? My name is Joe, and welcome to Illuminati Iron, where we train with, test, and review high-quality gym equipment and accessories. Earlier this year, I managed to steal a Sorinex Apex rack while traveling across South America. In today's video, the full self-incriminating backstory on how I managed to pull off one of the biggest heists in the history of home gyms while in Brazil. In addition, a full review of the Apex rack, what you can do with it, and last but not least, my extremely frustrating and disappointing customer service experience with Sorinex. Let's get into it. While in Rio de Janeiro, it was 2 a.m. and the Good Idea Fairy had me searching for gym equipment on Craigslist when all of a sudden, I came across a Sorinex Apex rack that was listed for $5,000. Now, $5,000 is a lot of money, but Sorinex equipment is not cheap, and a brand new Apex rack is $10,000 before shipping and taxes. With shipping and taxes, you're looking at $13,000 to $15,000. To fill you in, I used to have a Sorinex XL Series power rack, and I absolutely loved it. The rack was fully customized, and I had a good customer service experience when purchasing. I made an honest and upfront YouTube video explaining why I needed to move on from it. I'll put the link to that video in the description, but in a nutshell, my space was too small for the colossal rack, and after tearing both distal bicep tendons at the same time on a preacher curl in a viral video that shocked the internet, I needed to remove the reminder of the accident out of the garage and have a fresh start. The injury was completely my fault and had nothing to do with Sorinex. Initially, the plan was to buy an Apex rack right after the XL Series power rack, but unfortunately I could not afford it. In addition, an amazing professional opportunity to collaborate and work with Rep Fitness arose, and I got an Aries rack, which for the money, honestly, is one of the best pieces of gym equipment out there. I highly recommend the Rep Aries, and I'll put the link to the rack down below if you're interested in learning more. Although I had purchased the Sorinex rack and had plans to buy more Sorinex equipment in the future when I could afford it, the sales rep at Sorinex who I had previously worked with wanted nothing more to do with me. Being brutally honest, unfortunately, a majority of the team over at Sorinex jumped ship from Illuminati Iron. I still had and kept a plethora of my Sorinex equipment with, like I said, plans to purchase more because I love the equipment, but surprisingly, some people took it personal or figured I served no further purpose to them. Regardless, dude, it's all good. Water under the bridge. I didn't lose sleep over it. Continue to focus on my recovery, and I appreciate all the awesome Sorinex employees that are still with us today and support Illuminati Iron. So, back to Craigslist in Rio de Janeiro. I got excited when I saw a $5,000 Apex rack in amazing condition get listed for sale. As I was thousands of miles away on Ipanema Beach, I could not pick it up immediately, and I figured it would still not be available when I arrived home in San Diego. The next day, the listing was gone, and then reappeared 24 hours later, listed at $3,000. $3,000! No way, this had to be a scam. It ended up being legit, and one of my best friends who I can always depend on and has my back drives up to Los Angeles with a U-Haul that I rented and loads the rack into the truck and drives it back down to San Diego for me. Talk about a friend, dude. Very grateful to have a person like Chris in my life. Unreal. After getting annihilated in LA traffic for hours and arriving at Illuminati Iron, Chris couldn't unload the rack alone, so another amazing friend of mine, Forrest, met Chris at the gym and helped him unload it. They leaned everything up against the Aries and boom, mission complete. The plan was to make a backyard extension and put the Sorinex rack underneath the roof. While waiting to start construction, the rack sat in the backyard protected underneath a tarp. Unfortunately, since I was in Brazil and I couldn't measure the height clearance, we came to find out that the rack wouldn't fit. It was too tall, so it had to go inside. So, it was time for the old switcheroo, and the Apex rack would go inside the garage. Taking the Aries apart took a while, and it was tedious. Once you build an Aries, it's best to keep it there forever, but we had to do what we had to do.
There's something going strong, stronger. 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 There's something going
Clearing the space and moving everything out of the way, we then brought the Apex rack into the gym and built it. The Illuminati Iron Infantry fellow lifter Jack came in clutch and helped with the disassembly, and there's no way I could have done it without him. Piece by piece, the rack came together and it was awesome. We are not done with Aries or Rep Fitness, stand by, because we are making some insane moves this year that will soon be released. Made of 11 gauge steel with 3" by 3" tubing, 1" holes and laser engraved numbering, the Apex rack has a height of 101 inches and a width of 121 inches. The rack has sandwich style J-cups which are very well built. You have stall bars, urethane utility pin plate storage, an indexing chin bar with sliding handles that have multiple grip options, formed and bent storage hooks, a designated lap pull down tower that has a low row option, and 1 cable column. The cable system is extremely smooth. The weight stack goes up to 300 pounds on the lap pull down, and the low profile design of the rack really allows you to make the most of your floor space. Squatting, benching, and overhead pressing is performed outside the rack in the middle. As I had fully intended on getting another Sorinex rack at some point, I kept my custom laser cut logo from the old rack. I absolutely love the Apex, it's one of my all-time favorite racks and setups. But at $13,000 to $15,000 after taxes and shipping, I do believe there are a lot of other great options out there for a fraction of the cost. For example, the Rep Fitness Aries rack, the Vesta Fitness 3-in-1 rack, and the Bridge-Built Phoenix squat rack. I personally tested and reviewed all of these racks that I mentioned, so if you'd like to learn more, please check out the links in the description box below. Now it was time to equip the rack with some of the most premium attachments in the world. We collaborate and work with only the best companies, brands, and people in the industry. From Oak Club, we have the James 2.0 J-cups, the Alpha Spotter arms, the Close Step with a compatible mag pin, the Club basket, a pair of collars from Rogue and Hero barbell, the Clevabuilt Adroit 2.0 landmine, 550 pounds of competition bumper plates from Rep Fitness with custom plate snack plate decals, change plates from Gymway, the Oak Club Wessie and barbell anchor with a Gunyear of Norway curler, and finishing off with the Mutant Metals UDA, the ultimate dip attachment. Here she is, I present you the Sorinex Apex rack locked and loaded with an arsenal of weapons to get strong and move and feel better. To be honest, if this rack is all someone had, they would be all set. A complete all-in-one gym that allows you to perform hundreds of exercises with a space-efficient footprint that is bomb-proof in quality. I have a feeling this rack will be looking and performing just as well in many years to come. Let's go. Obviously, it's a business, and Sorinex isn't targeting the average consumer. You'll see, they mostly work with colleges, universities, professional sports teams, and G's who can swing the price tag. Unfortunately, I'm not a G yet, so as a brokey who still gets to own an Apex rack, I am beyond stoked and blessed. So, the customer service. Where does this all play into the story? After setting up the rack, I realized I needed to replace one of the aluminum pulleys, and the rack was missing washers, a male-female part, and both cables needed to be replaced. I sent a request for parts through the Sorinex website, and on April 15th, I heard back from one of their reps. Now I'm going to be fully transparent, not just pick and choose specific messages to fit or craft a narrative. This is how it all went down. Joe, we received your parts request, my name is, and I will be your solution specialist and help you with your parts. I replied back the same day, and we went back and forth making sure I was ordering what I needed. On April 16th, the rep acknowledged my last email and replied, okay, thanks. 2 days later, on April 18th, I followed up, good afternoon. Anything else you need from me? On pause right now with the equipment out of commission, so hoping to get the ball rolling again soon with my clients. Thank you, brother. 5 days later, the rep replies, Joe, I have not forgotten about you, still getting pricing. I reply the same day, thank you, appreciate it. 2 days later, the rep says, Joe, good morning. I still have not received word back on pricing. We recently lost a higher-up member of our team, and some of our other team members are taking the loss pretty hard. Thank you for your patience, we will get you pricing. The same day I reply, thanks for the update. Can you ship all the parts now and I pay for everything you have pricing on? I'll pay for the pulleys as soon as you have the price. My business and livelihood relies on being able to use this rack, and I unfortunately can't wait weeks on this. Thank you for understanding. The next day he replies with, please see the attached quote. I ask him that day, can you ship the pulleys as well so we can get up and running? I will pay the difference when you get the pricing. At this point, it has been over 10 days since I requested parts. I understand Sorinex is a big company with a lot of orders, but from my experience with dozens of companies in the industry, it does not take 10 days to get parts shipped, let alone get the price of a pulley. 4 days later, on April 30th, the rep gets back to me with an updated quote. Joe, please see the quote attached. Let me know if you have questions. We were able to go through different carriers, so we were able to get a better price. I reply the same day, looks good, signed form attached. Thank you, I appreciate it. When do you expect the components to ship? 2 days later, the rep replies, awesome, thank you so much. No acknowledgement or reply to my question, so I ask again. When do you expect the components to ship? He replies back, I will find out and let you know. 4 days later, on May 6th, he replies back with the tracking information. I acknowledge that day, copy all, thank you. He says, you're welcome. 3 days later, on May 9th, the shipment arrived at the gym. At this time, as you may have seen on my Instagram, I was now up in Montana working out of the van, training and hiking. After Montana, I went to Annapolis for a week to celebrate commissioning week with friends and family. I then flew back to Montana and drove the van back to San Diego, stopping in Yellowstone, Jackson, Wyoming, and St. George, Utah. So as a reference, in between emails, I made numerous phone calls to the rep to stay on top of it. And on one of our phone calls, I told the rep that I needed washers that would go on either side of the aluminum pulley. I was told they would be included. On all the calls, the rep was nice and seemed like a genuinely good dude. Never once did I feel like he was trying to stick it to me or intentionally drag this along. I arrived back home on June 9th and I opened the package, which was missing the washers. I then sent an email to the rep, just opened up the delivery of parts. We discussed on the phone that there would be a set of washers that would accompany the pulley/male-female components. We can't get this up and running since the pulley spins and scrapes the hell out of the rack. I also had a question about the cable, which he answered, Joe, so the cable is correct. You will need to cut the cable to the length needed for the machine. As for the washers, I will get with my team to get the missing washers and bolts sent out. I immediately replied back, thank you, standing by for an ETA. The rep replied, yes sir, as soon as I get some tracking, I will send it to you. 3 days later, on June 13th, hi, any update on shipping? My business really needs this rack up and running, thank you. The rep replies, Joe, I will circle back with the shop for tracking information. 4 days later, on June 17th, the rep says, Joe, I just spoke to my team and they are sending the missing parts out later today. I will follow up with the tracking. I reply back, excellent, thanks. You are welcome, he says. The next day I ask him, did the part ship? No reply. 2 days later, I ask again if the part shipped. I then receive an out-of-office reply saying that the rep will be out of the office from June 21st to July 1st. So now it's been 67 days since I reached out about parts and I still can't use the Apex rack. So immediately we go back to the Sorinex website and request assistance from another rep. The rep, who I've met in person and who I have a lot of respect for, actually calls me and asks me to send photos so he can assist me. I sent everything to him on June 20th. I sent him another email on June 21st and I ask, need anything else from my end on this? 10 days later, the new rep gets back to me. On July 1st, sorry for the delay. This should be everything to get the ball rolling. This is the only unit that has an issue, correct? At this point, I had received the parts and made all the necessary repairs. I replied back to the rep and thanked him, but man, I couldn't believe it took well over 2 months to get this rack up and running. Even despite micromanaging, immediately replying back, and staying on top of the rep with phone calls and emails, it still wasn't enough. What really shocked me was that out of nowhere on July 8th, I received an email from the original rep with the shipping information. The package had arrived 18 days prior and his out-of-office return date was July 1st, so 7 days earlier. As I mentioned, nothing in this video is personal, and I know the people in Lexington, South Carolina are good, hardworking Americans, but I think Sorinex can do better than this. Sorinex is one of the biggest players in the game who fully embraces and embodies the mantras, extreme ownership, and nobody cares, work harder. I have never had a customer service experience like this ever with any company in the industry. Ever. From how long it took to get the price of the pulley, to the lack of acknowledgement to my questions and gaps of complete silence, I was truly disappointed, and to be honest with you, it took a lot of the excitement out of getting Sorinex equipment again. To close this all out, I went and read every single one of Sorinex's reviews on Google, and this review right here perfectly encompasses how I felt and how I feel to this day about Sorinex. Is it possible to give 0 stars? I had the worst experience trying to order gym equipment from this company. I have always thought very highly of Sorinex after using several pieces of equipment and attending one of their Summer Strong events in 2017. My husband and I are upgrading our home gym and decided to purchase a major piece of equipment from them, $5,000 plus Hurricane, as well as $750 worth of other minor pieces of equipment. We placed one order for the Hurricane and paid half down to get the order in progress, then paid in full for the other order. Long story short, after about 5 weeks of getting mixed communication, inconsistent time frames, lots of excuses, and piss poor customer service, attempting to get any kind of time frame from the small order we paid in full for, we couldn't get a clear answer out of anyone at the facility, multiple phone calls, emails, etc. We ended up finally canceling both orders and asking for a refund. Neither the sales rep we were working with nor the president of the company, who we ended up involving in the ordeal, even flinched at losing our business. No apology, no attempt to keep us as a customer, just a cold email response confirming the order was to be canceled and a refund issued. They were quick to deposit the check we gave them to pay for half down on the Hurricane. Check cleared the very same day I wrote it, but I am sure they are going to take their sweet time issuing our refund. I have never felt that my money in business was not wanted by a product/customer service based business in my life, and am sincerely disappointed in my experience trying to do business with Sorinex, as my expectations were much higher. Dudes, I really wanted to give you my money. Maybe our measly little $6,000 order was not enough to warrant more effort on their part to treat us like a valued customer. I will never do business with Sorinex again, nor would I ever recommend them to anyone. Not that they even seem to care to lose my business. Absolutely loving this Apex rack from Sorinex. Obviously a tough way to end there with the install, but we're not gonna let that experience tarnish this awesome rack, its functionality, the progress and gains to come, and of course Sorinex's execution and commitment to high quality equipment. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much in advance. I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. Get down there, and remember, stay after it and sweat those demons.